audio. Morning, Richie Dubs. Good morning. How you doing there? Good morning, beautiful and amazing people, fans of Magic the Gathering, who love the game as much as I do. Let's try to get the stream off the air here today, if you know what I mean. Everybody's checking in this morning. Johan Matuzzi, how you doing, brother? Michael Superbackers here. Titantaman, Richie Dubs. Probably can't stick around, but leaving a likeable for a bicycle is Richie Dubsicle. Thanks for joining me here this morning, Richie. Our time is so precious. I'm so glad I get to spend a little bit with you here, folks. Today, let's make sure the stream is working. I tried to do this yesterday, but we'll pick up where we left off. Question of the day yesterday was, do you like Fairy Mastermind over Ledger Shredder? You prefer masterminding your problems here in the morning with Brody, or do you want to shred your problems with the Ledger Shredder? Let me know. Which one is better, Shredder or Mastermind? We're gonna run a poll here this morning. We're gonna chat with you folks. Can't wait to start the day here. I got the coffee going. Should be a good stream today. Checking for lag, communication breakdowns. How's the lag? How's the stream doing this morning? Let me know if we got any clogged up. We got any clog in the house? Got any clog? Got any chat? Any of that stuff not working? Let's warm up this morning. I want to thank every one of you folks for joining us here this morning. People who love the game as much as I do. Do you like tracking the prices of Magic cards? Is there enough information out there, folks, or is there just too much information? Let me do it for you. I'm doing it each and every day, Monday through Friday, except when the stream is down. I'm looking at the stock charts, Hasbro stock, the MTG top 8, to give you guys some updates. And this is the show where we tie it all together. We put a bow on it. We look to see what's happening in the banking world, the financial world, as it pertains to Hasbro stock, as well as the metagame in the major formats, the prices that move, and the articles that we like to read here on the morning show. I will like to onboard any new subscribers who are joining us this morning. I'm going to warm up just a little bit here this morning with you folks here. Let's go. First things first, let's take a look at some AI generated Magic cards here this morning. We'll warm up for a minute here. Hopefully, if you guys haven't done this with me once before, I'll give you the rules real quick. If there's any gibberish, I know your time is I know your time is valuable and you don't intend to waste it. So if there's any gibberish on the card whatsoever, we fail it. You'll hear this sound. That's right, the buzzer. And if you missed that, let's give it one more for the coach. Oh, it's coming in hot today. And if it's a good card, even if it's a little overcosted, if it makes sense, if it's playable, any which way whatsoever, you'll hear this sound. We'll give it a dinger, a ringer. Let me know how the stream's coming in this morning. Had a few issues yesterday, but nevertheless, Brody's back. All right, first card we want to take a look at is this card here this morning. Seeper's Thorn. Seeper's Thorn, Cephalid Time here. This black creature card. It's got Swamp Walk, and it's a 1/3. Oh, you gotta pay for the Swamp Walk? All right, let's see here. A black and 3 gets you a 1/3 Cephalid Time with this activation on it that says for a green and 5, it gets Swamp Walked and has protection from multicolor. So it just gets Swamp Walk if you play a green and 5. I think it doesn't say till end of turn, and it's already got protection from multicolor on the card. Whenever a creature is dealt damage by Seeper's Thorn this turn, dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Seeper's Thorn. Whenever a creature dealt damage by Seeper's Thorn this turn dies, put a 1/1 counter on it. Oh, it seems fine. Let's give it a pass. How's the stream working this morning, folks? Any lag, any chop? Are we smooth? Are we gonna have a smoothie Tuesday? A little smoothie Tuesday. Dogecoin tweeting since Elon Musk has decided to change the meme, the moniker over on Twitter. We'll get into that a little bit. Is this Seeper's Thorn, OP fair playable? Let's go fair. As many folks also say fair. I gotta pass this right away. The Plains card seems fine, unless they're trying to trick us again. They're putting a... Sometimes they hide another land type down here on the title block. Looks good. Coaches in the house. Loud and clear. MTG Gaming Bob's here. Seeper's playable, but terrible. I couldn't agree with you more. MTG Gaming Bob's in the house. All right, let's take a look. Keep going down the list this morning. Trite Draken. Huh? Trite Draken. Night, sleep trite, sleep dragon. This is a renter. 5/5/1 5/5 for 1 blue and 3. This renter card is a Ritator. This 1/2 Ritator renter card. This thing's got to pay rent, so no more living rent free in the comment section. Like Soldevi activations. This card costs you a red and 6. Reveal the top card, then shuffle. Get out of here. You're fired. All right. Trite Draken. I mean, the Drake art looks all right. I don't know what a Ritatar is. And this renter mechanic, it's hilarious. That's what I can say about that. All right. What about how do you write Trite Draken? Unplayable. It's word salad. How about this one here? Sace Touch of Spoy Strength. Non-artifact creatures have Indestructible. An enchantment for 2 and colorless. This seems okay. Sace Touch of Spoy? Sace? Like the wordage on these cards is just getting a little bit more hard to slice and dice. But Sace Touch of Spoy Swench for 2 mana. You get this colorless enchantment that says non-artifact creatures have Indestructible. Just straight up for 2. That's yours and your opponents on both sides of the board. It seems fine. Let's give it a pass here this morning. Unless anybody can... I mean, is there anything about this? It's colorless. That's fine. Colorless enchantment card. Let's go fair. Oh, some people say it's OP. I think it's fine. Urs the Malter. Old Urs. You know, Urs the Malter is a 7/8. Holy smokes, a 7/8 for 3 mana. Now we're getting in somewhere. We're training and grooming. Good morning, human beings. All right. 1 blue and 2 for the 7/8 instant. Get out of here. Earth the Malter. No, Earth the Malter create tokens. 11 mana, you gain 2 life. This thing's horrible. Can't be an instant with stats like a 7/8. It's got to be a creature. This thing's no good. We're going to fail it. How's the stream going this morning? And this one here, 767. Let's see if we can do it. 767 coming out of the sky. I'm going to take me out to Memphis on a move. Wow, all right. All right, so 767 coming straight out the sky. 9 mana for a 3/4. Flying, when 767 enters the battlefield, you may put the creature cards from their graveyard into your hand. Little choppy. I do like the goblin zombie, though. Don't insult my robot senses, Brody. Alan Cahoon's in the house. How you doing? Spoy Strength, only because I want people to try to pronounce it. All right, it's all good. Alan's here. The folks are here. What do you think of this 767? 9 mana, 3/4. When it enters the battlefield, you may put the creature cards from their graveyard into your hand. It's flying. It's flying. Does this look flying to you, Brody? I don't know, but it's so close. Let's pass it. I'm feeling good. We didn't get to pass or fail anything yesterday, so I'm feeling generous today. 767. Most people say it's unplayable. All righty. What about this one? Alan? Huh? Alan? 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 Steve? Alan? What do you like of this card? The Webmoo Throne Sheldering Ranger. I almost thought it was going to say something else there, but I'm glad it didn't. The Sheldering Ranger is an Azorius card. It costs you a blue, a white, and 3 for a 4/4. 2 blue. This human barbarian says the Webmoo Throne Sheldering Ranger gains Webmoo Throne Sheldering Ranger until end of turn, which means it can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Young when it would become better than 2. Kithkin winner. It's just menace. It's just a fancy way of writing menace. Are they? Good morning. Good morning. I don't know about the Webmoo Throne Sheldering Ranger gains Webmoo Throne Sheldering Ranger. Let's get some word salad. Out of here. Word salad. Microphone's coming in hot today, hey? All right. Sounds good. And this one, Sosupant of Deal. Would you guys like to make a deal with Brody here? This Sosupant. You can make a deal. Buying 5/5 for 1, 2 green and 1. When Sosupant of Deal enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards. For a 5/5 with flying, 3 mana. This is a legendary creature god. Seems really powerful. Really powerful. 5 for a 4/4. 5 for a 4/4. Yeah, that one's a fail, right? How about 3 mana for a 5/5? Huh? Is that more? I mean, Alan, come on. OP says Titan. This thing OP. I gotta make a sip of coffee here. Let me build a coffee. You guys masticate on that. Chew on some Sosupant of Deal this morning. I changed a few things around here. I did. I changed a few things around yesterday. Try and make things a little bit better for the shredder. What do you guys think? Do you like Ledger Shredder? Is Ledger Shredder better than the Fairy Mastermind? We're going to talk about it here today, but first we got to look at the Sosupant Deal. Sosupant of the Deal. It seems like a French card. C'est de bonne carte magique, le Sosupant de Deal. It's not bad. That's my French content for the day, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give this one a pass. A little bit. 3 mana for flying. OP, which draws. OP. I know, we like the OP. Even if it's a little OP, I can deal with it. I mean, with power creep and everything, Alan, is it OP? It's a Jesum Jin with an upside for 3 mana. With 2 upsides, better double upside. OP. And then we have this tentacly basic land waste card. I mean, no way. This is no time to waste on this one. Let's give the waste a pass. Let's thank everybody for joining us here. Good morning, beautiful and amazing people, human beings, fans of Magic the Gathering who love the game as much as we do. Whoa. Thank you, folks, for joining us here once again. We have a plethora of Magic the Gathering contents, an absolute smorgasbord for you folks to enjoy with me this morning. A plethora of information coming to you from the stock desk today. Plenty of things to discuss by way of the internet. It's going to be a good time. We've got articles to discuss here this morning, and we're going to start off with this one from Harvey McGinnis. I gotta give a shout out to Harvey this morning. I think it's quite funny. Elon Musk has chosen to change the Twitter moniker to the Dogecoin monitor, and that has caused the price of Dogecoin to soar 20% in just one day. We're going to take a look at that, and we're also going to take a look at the Hasbro stock, the meme that is on the scene. Plenty of news here again. Oh, it's up 30%. All right. Let's take a look here. Let's just head back to the stock desk for one quick second before. If you look here to my left, what's happening on Twitter? Let's write a message to Mr. Harvey McGinnis here. If you notice up in the top left-hand corner here, Mr. Elon Musk is being a silly little bear, and he's changed the Twitter logo to the Dogecoin logo right here. So now the Twitter logo is now the Dogecoin logo, and in doing so, the price of Dogecoin is going up. If you can imagine that, little support. Stocks and talks this morning. Talking fairy mastermind. All right. So as I said earlier, Mr. Elon Musk has changed the. I don't know if it's going to last. Maybe it'll just be for one day or something like that, and then we'll see it go back to the old one. But the memes are starting to fly. It's a little bit funny, and we're going to look at the stock desk here. If you guys haven't, picked up any Dogecoin in the past, all it takes is for that guy just to tweet about it, and it's up 29% to 10 cents on the replacement of the Twitter logo. So there's some interesting news. If you're wondering why Dogecoin is mooning and going up in price again, it's because that guy has gone and changed the logo over at the Twitter space. But nevertheless, we've got a pretty awesome news article to bring to you today by friends of the channel, Mr. Harvey McGinnis, Fairy Mastermind. How good will it be in CEDH? I wanted to read this article for you folks here this morning simply because you're simply the best. And when we were doing the spoilers for this show, we were reviewing them over on the MTG Roundtable. This was like the thing that I kept bringing up, and I just couldn't get it out of my. I've been out of my head, I've been out of my mind. How could I ever think this time that you could ask him for a fairy mastermind? It was the be. Okay, I was out of my head, I was out of my mind. I was comparing Ledger Shredder to the fairy mastermind at that time because, well, quite frankly, you heard me sing it. Brody's out of his head. And he's out of his mind. I'm like, for 2 mana, for 1 blue and 1, what are we going to get? Is it going to upset the apple cart as it comes to modern? Well, we're going to talk about it here today because our friend Harvey McGinnis is giving us another article from the stock desk. No! Wait, it's from Commander's Herald. Thanks, Harvey, for writing some more magic. Putting pen to the paper for the viewers here, all joining in on the channel. March of the Machine spoilers in full swing, but perhaps one of the most interesting and important cards in the set brings to CEDH has already been out in the public for a while now. That's the Fairy Mastermind. The breakdown on this card means Mastermind is an efficient blue creature that brings with it 3 key components. It has flash, it has a static ability with a key line of text that says draw a card, and it has an activated ability which can serve as an infinite mana sink when the need arises. So let's break down this card line by line so as to understand what exactly Fairy Mastermind has to offer. First, on the cast ability of Fairy Mastermind, at 2 mana, 1 colorless and a blue, the Mastermind has a casting cost that's one of the more flexible and playable utility creature effects. It simply isn't a free spell to cast, but neither is any particular difficult mana investment. Dark Confidant, Ledger Shredder, Gilded Drake, these are all examples of creatures which share a similar cost structure as Fairy Mastermind and have been able to flourish as a result. The Fairy Mastermind may not be as efficient as Esper Sentinel, but that extra generic mana in its cost brings with it quite a lot of value. There's also a crucial timing component to evaluate when casting Fairy Mastermind. At 2 mana and in blue, Mastermind occupies the same mana value of the most expensive counterspell that you'll be spending mana to cast, at least. Making the flashy ability incredibly important here. This means that while you're holding up 2 blue mana, the rest of the table has to play around the possibility that you could cast Counterspell in response to their threats. As such, While it may be a better value play to cast Fairy Mastermind in response to an opponent drawing their second card for the turn, still as to trigger its effect, more on that part later. The ability to bluff interaction is valuable, if not more so than a single Mastermind trigger. Mastermind is a card that's going to be cast in a lot of opponents' end steps, and it's in color identity that makes this one of the card's greatest strengths. So, as we discussed on the roundtable last Thursday, or 2 Thursdays ago when we were doing the spoilers, this card has the same mana pips as Ledger Shredder, a blue and one. It's tempo, and we'll get to the tempo discussion on it in a bit. It's a tempo card, and it does exactly that. If you're holding up blue mana to cast this card, you're basically representing counterspell while you've got a creature in your hand. Next, on to the reason we'll be casting Fairy Mastermind, the triggered ability. Whenever opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw a card. Fairy Mastermind is going to be drawing us a lot of cards. So theoretically, this triggered ability represents the opportunity to draw 12 cards per turn cycle, assuming each player is already drawing 2 cards a turn. That is, while this ceiling is something I doubt many people are ever going to see in a game, it's worth noting just how easily Mastermind's ability can trigger. So, Mystic Remora, Esper Sentinel, Rhystic Study, either of Blue Form's commanders, Timna the Weaver, and Crom Ludovic's Opus, all of these are permanents which can repeatedly meet Mastermind's trigger requirement, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. Any wheel also draws us 3 cards from each opponent triggering Mastermind, highlighting how we can also force our opponents to trigger Fairy Mastermind, netting us some excellent card draw. So quick, why break up the party? All right. So reading this here, it makes me think, yeah, every time this goes to the next opponent's turn, all 3 other players at the table potentially have an opportunity to draw a card during each other player's turn. So yeah, if all 3 opponents are drawing 2 on each player's draw step up or during each other player's turn, then the Mastermind could trigger, I guess, 3 times per turn and 12 in a turn cycle. Angler Collections in the house. It's because Shredder has the phrase whenever a player casts their second spell each turn. Yes. Yes, the Shredder is quite good. I do agree. The Shredder is quite good. All right, well, let's talk about this. Just let's keep going. Let's talk about this just a little bit more here this morning, Alan. Then we'll get into some comments. We've got Timna the Weaver, Kroom's Ludwig's Opus. Finally, an infinite mana outlet. All right, it's an mana outlet, and for 4 mana, we can have each player draw a card. This ability, which I doubt anyone is ever going to activate unless they have found sufficient mana to go infinite. If you're going infinite on mana, you're going to be able to activate this, but short of that, probably not. But providing our opponents with a collective 3 cards against our 1 per activation, at least the cost of 4 mana is just not worth, even in the best of non-infinite scenarios. Maybe, just maybe, I could see somebody activating Fairy Mastermind in a turn where each opponent has drawn exactly 1 card, netting Mastermind's controller 4 cards total after all the triggers are resolved, while opponents draw a sum of 3. But this condition isn't realistic. Now, with infinite mana, things become a little more interesting in EDH. Depending on how the game is gone, having each other player draw cards equal to the number in your deck is more or less may end the game for a couple of opponents along the way before you drop your Thassa's Oracle. But even this tricky fairy, because chances are your opponents will draw into some form of interaction. So dumping infinite mana into Mastermind is dangerous bet, but one can see some players making it. Comparable perspective. All right. If you go infinite with this, you could have mill conditions. You could, but you're also loading up your opponent's ammunition. So be careful if you're going to go infinite with mana and activate this thing to your opponent's detriment. Mastermind is comparable in perspective to a strong and versatile card in itself, but there are plenty of creatures with flash in EDH and plenty more that say draw cards somewhat in their rules text. So let's take a look at the 2 creatures which seem to give Fairy Mastermind the biggest run for its money. Ledger Shredder and Archivist of Ogma. Archivist of Ogma is a white for 1 white and 1. It's a 2/2 that says Flash. When an opponent searches their library, you gain 1 life and draw a card. So card drawing on this halfling cleric, as well as the Ledger Shredder. For a reminder, anybody who hasn't read the text on Ledger Shredder in a while, let's do it. This is a card from New Capenna, Streets of New Capenna. It's a 1/3 bird advisor creature for blue and 1 that says it's got flying, and whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, that's any player. It's a card you got to keep track of because whenever any player plays their second spell each turn, Ledger Shredder connives, which means you draw a card, then discard a card, and if you discard a non-land card, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it gets bigger. It is a threat, and it also gives you some card selection. First up, Ledger Shredder. This blue bird brings with it the same mana cost as Mastermind and similar keywords twice in its trigger condition, making it the most direct card comparison to Mastermind. The two play very differently, however. While Shredder gives us card selection, often arguably easier trigger condition, especially in the very early turns of the game, through its connive condition, where Mastermind provides us with extra cards in our hand, no strings attached. Think of it this way. Would you rather draw an extra card each turn rotation or loot twice per turn rotation? There are some terribly quick estimates for the relative frequency of which each card will trigger something, which I hope I have more data on as Mastermind hits the release in April, but nonetheless, it conveys a rough sense of what to expect when debating between what deck should run one card or another. So outside of the trigger conditions, Ledger Shredder has the up on Fairy Mastermind in the one other way. Its usefulness as a blocker. As Shredder gains triggers, it gradually grows in size over the course of the game. While it isn't immediately relevant, it doesn't mean that the Shredder can easily be profitable to block a plethora of key creatures currently running rampant in CEDH battles. See what I mean? A plethora. Providing a potential defensive shield against aggressors from the likes of Blue, Form, and Winota Joiner of Forces, the Fairy Mastermind, meanwhile, is always going to be a 2/1, which makes it weaker to removal like Lightning Bolt, Toxic Deluge, and while holding back most defensive creature engagements, this is the real weakness for the Mastermind in comparison to the Ledger Shredder, the power and toughness. The opportunity to bluff your opponent's interaction due to flash, plus the benefits of a card draw comparison of conniving, are the reasons enough to heavily consider Mastermind, either along with it or instead of Shredder. So next up, we got Archivist of Olma, which is the Archivist that we spoke of either in white. It's a different card, part of the color pie, but it actually a little better in comparison for Mastermind than the Ledger Shredder when it comes to patterns, because both cards have flash, both cards are weak to the same removal, both cards provide card draw as opposed to card selection. Similarly, while fetch lines are incredibly prevalent, I'd argue that players search their library on the average per turn less often than they cast 2 spells. In any game that goes long, players will eventually start to run out of fetch lands, just as players may have turns where they draw fewer cards. The early turn explosiveness in CEDH isn't exactly the favor for Archivist of Olma or Fairy Mastermind when it comes to sustaining triggers. Throughout the course of the game, meaning but both, these cards are reluctantly comparable in terms of average number of triggers per turn. Question is, for players evaluating whether to play Fairy Mastermind, after removing past any color identity issues, shouldn't be how do I like this creature compared to Ledger Shredder, but rather how much would I like a blue copy of Archivist of Old. Interesting. So, some final thoughts from Harvey, putting these cards together and bringing us something else to compare. Fairy Mastermind will make waves in EDH since being initially revealed in MagicCon Philadelphia this year. The formidable card in this community has been a buzz about this efficient, speedy card advantage machine. And for good reason. Blue may have just gotten its Archivist of Ogma, and there are plenty of decks and players out there, myself included, who are going to be more than happy to take this card into a slot in their EDH decks come April. What do you think? Are we overestimating Fairy Mastermind, or is it secretly bonkers and going everywhere when it's out in paper? Let us know in the comments section. What do you folks think? Vote with your mouse if you haven't already. I really like this card, giving us something more to think about, right? Archivist of Ogma and a few other comparables that may not have considered when discussing the Fairy Mastermind just the other day. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments section. Why is Shredder better than Mastermind, or do you like the Mastermind? I know Michael Superbacker prefers the Fairy Mastermind, the 2-1, but I just don't know if it's that much of a threat compared to the. I just like the fact that the Shredder, it gets bigger, right? Hard to say. Let's have ourselves a sip of coffee here this morning. It's a beauty day, warming up outside. The Twitter bots are what's got us thinking here this morning. All right, we got one more article here for Harvey McGinnis. All right, you guys want one more? One more from Harv's. All right, Harvey, let's do one more because you're on fire here today. It's Tuesday. It's a random Tuesday. I'm hanging out with you folks here, friends of the channel, amazing human beings. Thank you for joining. We've got a whole plethora of Magic the Gathering content for you folks here today. Thanks for joining me, where we take a look at the prices of Magic cards. Let's have a look at the price of Hasbro stock. Let's see what's going on over there, and a little bit of a. Let's see if there's anything also going on in banking news. Apparently, March of the Machine is taking the list in a different direction. That could be something good to discuss with you folks in the morning show. All right, well, sure. Let's grab a little bit of banking news articles, and then we're going to take a look at the price of Hasbro stock, because if we've discussed it once, we've discussed it not enough times. Credit Suisse chairman truly sorry for bank's demise amid shareholder fury. So, Credit Suisse chairman apologized for taking the Swiss bank to the brink of bankruptcy as he faced shareholder fury over the demise of once proud flagship. The hastily arranged takeover by Zurich-based UBS, for which Bank of Switzerland invoked emergency legislation, bypassed Credit Suisse shareholders who would otherwise have had a say and all but wiped them out. Its final meeting, the shareholders on Tuesday, marks an ignominious end to the 167-year-old bank founded by Alfred Escher, a Swiss magnate affectionately dubbed King Alfred, who helped build the country's railway and then the bank. Protesters gathered outside the concert venue where the meeting took place, where some erecting a capitalized boat to depict the bank's demise. Inside, Chairman Alex Lehman issued an apology. Axel Lehman. Does that name ring a bell to anybody? Lehman? Axel Lehman? This has got to be too coincidental. All right. Well, Lehman says he apologized that we're no longer able to stem the loss of trust. After years of scandal and losses, Credit Suisse came to the brink of collapse before UBS rode the rescue to a merger engineered and bankrolled the Swiss authorities. Until then, we fought hard to find a solution, but ultimately there were only two options: deal or bankruptcy. The merger had to go through. Shareholders advisory firm Ethos decreed that the greed of its incompetence and its managers, as well as play a part, has reached unimaginable heights and is prepared to challenge the top executives at that meeting. So a little bit more turmoil in the banking world as we see banking news hit the headlines about Credit Suisse and shareholder demise. Earlier this year, Silicon Valley Bank, the wokest bank in California, for making their ESG based This is just my opinion, making their ESG based banking decisions went through a bunch of turmoil and trouble. And now, where do you live? Alaska. Yes, Tommy Siddons. We are at mile zero of the Alaska Highway. Darn near, right? So, um, in the banking world, this I want you guys just to keep this on your radar because it's timely to take a look at this. Okay, I want you to look at over at Twitter. Like I said, you've got Elon Musk changing the logo of the Twitter bird to the Doge bird, and in effect, the price of Dogecoin going up 30% in one day on the tweet. More of that as this Credit Suisse bank is falling into shambles and shareholders are absolutely furious. And this is one of three, I believe, three banks now to all hit the mustard as the banking sector seems to be on unstable footing. And I wouldn't be surprised to hear more about digital currencies like Dogecoin or any others coming to you folks. So be prepared for this in the very not too distant future. So with the Credit Suisse and a bit of a takeover, here's a news article about it. What move developments in that, as well as the folding of Silicon Valley Bank. And there's one other bank in between the two. Now they're trying to rescue these banks with swap lines, but it turns out that this merger was the only way to go. So more takeovers in the banking world as we trudge along in the world together of Magic the Gathering, of finance, and we try to preserve the fun and the wealth in our collection. Tommy Siddons. Let's see. Tommy Siddons asks, 5 a.m. right now. Where do you live, Alaska? Yeah, mile zero of the Alaska Highway, Tommy. You betcha. That is where Brody is coming from. We don't change time when all you folks are changing time zones. We never do. We don't change time. Like he said, how many Brody Alfonsos does it take to change a light bulb? Just one. And all he has to do is hold it, and the entire world will revolve around him. That's right. We don't change time. Everything revolves around this show here. Yeah, that's right. That's why this is the best darn Magic the Gathering morning show on the planet. Because the entire world will revolve around this morning show. We will never change time. Can't make us do it. No way. Big things. If you want to talk big things, you've come to the right place. Tommy Siddons here. How's the chop? We got any chop right now? You use both cards at once. You know what, Michael Superbacker? Yes, you can. That's that's the reason we do this show. For comments like that. You don't have to choose one way or another. You could run both. I guess what people are kind of this is the part that makes me think is Michael is like if you had to cut a card, right? Like when we get a new set and a new card comes out and you're like, "Well, this card is just the same card but better." Does it make the cut, right? Do you cut one card for the other one? If you're Michael Superbacker, you might just run both. Good idea. Why you could have your cake and your pie. Why not? Is it Ledger Shredder was $3 on pre-order. Alan says it's 10. Anger Collections in the house. Some good comments here. Let's keep going. I got one more article here for Harvey McGinnis. This is awesome because Harvey's a writer with purpose. This is why I love Harvey's articles here. Okay, so we got big things. Big things, World Championship stacks. And in this article here by Harvey McGinnis, we are going to take an analysis of gold bordered cards, this time digging into the world of championship decks. All right. Last month, Harvey and I discussed and we dissected the origins of Magic's gold border with a deep dive into the collector's edition, both as sealed and individual cards, but a bit of a follow-up to that older article, The Big Things. And this time we'll be continuing the story of Magic Gold Border since it retired in the line of products of the World Championship decks. Speaking of gold border and world championship decks, I got a package in the mail just the other day, yesterday, from Dual Brain. So I'm excited to get into that. And I think I know what is in that package. There's some magic cards that Brody is going to be providing some art on. It's going to be interesting. So more on that later. The orange is the gold bordered cards. A little sip of coffee. Let's go. Launching in 1997 and continuing through 2004, the Magic World Championship decks were an interesting bit odd product. While Collector's Edition had the distinction of carrying with it Collector's Edition stamp on the back of the card, as well as rectangular corners on each card, the cards within the World Championship retained their traditional rounded corners in exchange for having a card back completely different from traditional Magic card backs, offering a little bit of a portent for things to come with Magic 30th Anniversary Edition. This made the World Championship decks the second non tournament legal product to hit shelves, a distinction which mattered it significantly more than the release as opposed to that of Collector's Edition. As by this point the reserve list was in full effect, why not all lists would contain reserve list cards, this tournament illegality was crucial to making the deck list printable in the first place. As plenty of World Championship decks would certainly contain such cards, a key feature we'll get into later on the singles discussion. Each deck contained at least each deck contained the World Championship decks. Each deck contained the 60 card main board and a 15 card sideboard and a decklist insert card, a player biography insert card, and a World Championship review insert card, and 12 blank playtest cards for a total of 90 cards, which within each World Championship deck. These were marketed in a complete reversal from that of their gold border predecessors, the Collector's Edition, in that the print run was relatively accessible, and given that these were ready to go and ready to play decks, the emphasis was more on the general Magic market than collectors. This would have come as a bit of a hindrance in the long run survivability of the product line, as demand from players for tournament illegal cards dwindled over the years, resulting in the product's discontinuation in 2005. So, if you wanted to play the World Championship deck that won in the Pro Tour that year, that deck would be featured in a gold back in the format as just described by Harvey. We want to take a look as where are they now. As a sealed product, each of the World Championship decks have gradually drifted upwards in price. Although this is primarily due to market supply attrition and is not substantial increase in demand, there have been some outliers, however. The 1997 iteration of the World Championship decks, two of the four released that year, contained play set of Force of Will, launching their current prices closer to the $400 to $500 mark. Similarly, two decks from 1998 contained play sets of Survival of the Fittest, while 1999's release contained such gems as a playset of Guile's Cradle, three copies of Yawgmoth's Will, and a plethora of other reserve list hits, pushing some sealed decks to sell for as much as $900. After this peak, however, the World Championship deck hit a bit of a snag. With his Yawgmoth's Will and Big Knot Tournament legal stamped right on it. As we've seen from the prices from the best performing decks, the World Championship decks are buoyed up primarily by their single card contents, something which rarely bodes well for sealed products. Traditionally, the arc of time brings with it divergence in single contents price versus sealed products price, as the allure of the sealed product begins to tilt towards its gradual market attrition. While this has happened to some extent with the World Championship decks, they have overall been relatively unsuccessful in this regard, as the price of decks which do not contain any notable singles has plateaued over the years with little market activity, signaling a change in the near future. This is primarily due to two reasons. One, Given that these products are known entities, that is, their contents are fixed and the price of the singles comprising each list has a heavier sway on the overall price of the market, in sealed booster products, there is always the allure of an outperformance in the product's opening and a randomness premium. No such premium exists here, trying the World Championship deck's performance rather than closer to that of the underlying contents. Number two, given that these products were marketed specifically towards players and that their contents are non tournament viable, there is little reason for many of their target audience to interact with them. Many of the most noteworthy reprints in these decks are the expensive reserve list cards, which players acquire for tournament purposes, as opposed to casual play, which is the only purpose where these decks can serve. As such, the ceiling price on these decks remains low, as neither investors nor players have much interest in purchasing old decks at a premium. Single gems. So this guy has Cradle Gold Border, not tournament legal. Some play groups may allow it, though, given the legality of these cards printed throughout the World Championship deck run. Most singles currently are within a price at a significant discount relative to their tournament legal counterparts, with the average single card for any given deck selling around 15% of the price of its legal counterpart. For a handful of cards, however, this is still a notable sum of money. Gaia's Cradle from 1999 series is the most prominent example of this card, with the card averaging nearly $180 as of writing this article. This is a lot to ask for an unusable card, but even so, both the market and average prices for it have been steadily increasing over the past few years, signifying real demand for it. Similar to that of sealed products, however, this trend is a reflection of market attrition, less so than it is one of increased demand, making Gaia's Cradle and other hidden gems within such of Yawgmoth's will have they behave more like traditional collectible products offered by Magic and less support than sealed product, but with enough support to sustain long-term growth. If if only I was good at saving stuff from my youth. I paid $200 for that card. Why make a card that's not tournament legal? Well, the idea of these tournament packs were to buy the deck that the champion of the Pro Tour was playing to win. So if you wanted to play test it in a casual format, if you wanted to know what the deck felt like without building it, you could buy these championship decks to get an experience. If you wanted to be like Mark Justice or one of the Pro Tour players of the time, you could buy the championship deck and know what it feels like to hold that 60 card deck and sideboard in your hand, play it, but of course, non tournament legal, of course. This is when players were more hyped as like they were the heroes of the game, the champions of the game, right? So they got their name on there on the packaging and a little biography about the player. And then this is when they hyped players. You could pick your favorite Magic card player and you could get their signature tournament deck. So it was like created, it was really fun in those days because they created like a sense of superhero-ness for these Pro Tour players. Like they were larger than life. And if they won a Pro Tour, they got to have their deck, or they won the World Championship, they got to have their deck featured as one of these championship decks that you could buy to experience. So, wrapping up, the World Championship decks have provided an interesting look at when collectibles and known content sealed product can plateau over time, as opposed to continually trending upwards as in traditional for most sealed products. Even so, there are hidden gems within which are bolstering up the prices of some decks, enough to warrant inspection as the value of the cards which can be played in tournaments. Harvard McGinnis giving us another article from the stock desk here this morning. The student at Johns Hopkins University who's been playing Magic since the release of Return to Ravnica after spending a few years in Legacy around the arena, bouncing back and forth between Miracles and blue-white control shells. He now spends his time enjoying Magic through CEDH games and an understanding of the finance perspective. Also writes for the Commander's Herald. Thank you, Harvey, for another amazing article here today on the stock desk. I love the articles from Harvey McGinnis. Excellent writing, penmanship for the viewers here this morning. Have you guys ever, did you ever know that? When, back when Corporate greed, Michael Superbagger. Corporate greed. Jungle Rumblers in the house. Gold Border Cradle. That's right. Who else we got in the comment section? Tommy Siddons. Imagine buying this because it was cool and now it's a gold mine, right? Michael Superbacker says you got a good deal on a copy of Sandals of Dodala. It slipped through the cracks on eBay, so the price never got that high. There you go. Monopoly always becomes a mint fight where you get those pink 50s, Grandma. Crypto Zoo eggs are going to the moon. I don't know what a Crypto Zoo egg is. I bet Harvey played Sphinx's Revelation. It's quite possible. Well, you like tracking the prices of Magic cards? Let me do it for you. I was trying to discuss this over yesterday before we started the show, but I got kind of nipped in the bud by the Internet of Things. Now, over the weekend, there was some tournaments that happened, and I want to update you folks as to what happened on MTG Top 8. So, over the weekend that was April 1st, it was any good April Fool's jokes happened? I would say it's possible, but there was a Grand Open qualifier for Modern in Prague. There was also a Standard tournament in South America, regional championship at Magic Sur Chile, as well as a 20K. That's right, a $20,000 regional championship qualifier for 4 slots at the Laughing Dragon in Oakland. So 2 Modern tournaments fired over the weekend, as well as 1 Standard tournament. And it's not what you would think when we look here. Okay, so let's take a look first before we get into our movers and shakers list. So Valakut was taking first place in Modern out of 386 players. Yep, that's right. Beating out Scapeshift, Cascade, Footfalls, and the Court of Calling deck. Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle is back. The land that enters the battlefield and deals 3 damage for every mountain. So Valakut is back in a big way in Modern, as well as in Standard 5-color control, taking first place by Francisco Benitez out of 132 players. And in Modern, Elementals with 4-color Omnath beating out Indomitable Creativity over the weekend. So there's the Omnath deck, big upsets in competitive play here in the market world of Magic the Gathering over the weekend. Indomitable Creativity, which has been one of the winning most decks, especially in Pioneer, getting beat out by Elementals. And then we've got Valakut making a return to competitive play over the weekend. So that's your news. All right, let's have a look here. Movers, are you guys ready to move? Ready to shake? We're going to hit some movers and some shakers here this morning. Brody, do you sing? Have a great day, everyone. Always a pleasure. Thanks, Titan, for joining us. Yes, I sing so low you can't hear me. I try not to. I bet Harvey played Sphinx's Revolution. I sing while I'm driving sometimes. Can you take a second just to admire Johan from Legends? Yes, I can. Johan Matuzzi, are you here? Check out here. This is the namesake card, Johan from Legends. Let's take a second just to admire this amazing Legends card. Here's a card. You know what? This one is not on the reserve list like many of the other Legends, like Gosta Dirk. If you want to, like, if there was ever a card named Dirk, it's this one, Gosta Dirk. But Johan is also on from Legends. Let's admire this card for a second. Legendary Human Wizard. Abzan? No, not Abzan. Naya. If Johan does not attack and is not tapped, any of your creatures may attack without tapping. Wow. Now here's an amazing card. Johan, did you know how good you are? Benson says I used to make my own cards with the blank templates that came with the championship decks, and that is what I'll be doing for Ed the Dual Brain. I got some World Championship blank cards that come in just yesterday. I haven't opened them just yet. I'm going to be making some art cards for Ed over at the Dual Brain. Sit-ins, what is your play style, format, and deck types? For me, I'm a turns player. I've been playing turns in Modern for over 7 years. Since I built Modern the first time when I got back into Magic, I play turns in Modern. I like any variation. I've played mono blue turns, blue white turns. I played Bant turns. I played Demir turns, Esper turns, any type of turns deck. I want to take all the extra turns. I want to draw all the extra cards. I play fast Magic, and I make sure the games get done. Like, I don't want to sit there and us draw one card each turn. I want to be playing I want to be drawing like 5 cards a turn, and I want you to do that too. So when you sit down to play a game with Modern against Brody, you better buckle up because you're gonna have a lot of cards going in your hand. Okay, in EDH, usually play. I got a couple of different card decks that I play. I got Tribal Saprolings. I got a discard deck, which is a very, 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 very funny deck to play in EDH, and sometimes it doesn't perform very well. And I've got a Zomble deck, playing the zombies. In Legacy, I've got Nick Fit built. That's a Nick Fit deck. I'm a lands player. I like to play lands. I also like to play Cloud Post with the posts. I like to make lots of mana, Tommy Siddons. Lots of mana. Posts, lands, and Legacy. Yes, I like to play lands and Legacy, and I like to play posts. Giants. I like Primeval Titan as well. Johan Matuzzi, you need to buy this card. Yes, you do. It's got your name on it. It's a great card. It's Johan, right? Dr. Timmy's Emporium. Welcome to the show. Let me just take a second and talk to Dr. Timmy here this morning. Dr. Timmy from Dr. Timmy's Emporium, I would like to thank you. And would everybody please give a warm welcome to Dr. Timmy from Timmy's Emporium here in the comment section. I want to thank you. I've never seen you here on the show, but we're happy that you can make it. Any new viewers and new subscribers out there, I wish the sun on your face and the wind at your back and a blessing into your Magic collection here. I want the fun in your collection. It's better in your deck than sitting on the showcase at the store. I want to get a little more of that fun value into your Magic the Gathering collection. Dr. Timmy, thank you for joining us here this morning. A big shout out and a welcome to you folks, Tommy Siddons, Richie Dubs, and everybody else. Johan Matuzzi, all the friends and fans of the game who love this game as much as I do. Let's check it out. Let's run this list. Let's do some movers and the shakers. Yesterday, I didn't get the stream off the air. Modern Monday was yesterday, but we're going to go Tuesday, Pioneer, right? Is Tom Mitchell in the house? If Tom Mitchell was here, I'd be referring over to Tom Mitchell, but let's take a look at Pioneer, okay? Pioneer is an interesting format. It's like Generation Z for Modern. It's like new Modern, postmodern. It's the postmodern apocalyptic format, Pioneer, right? It's just a little more. It's still got that new card smell on the cards when you're playing Pioneer, right? Mono Black seems to be a decent deck, but let's take a look at the cards making waves because this card here, I've got this in the buy list box, and I'm just like, this is what I'm doing right now. I've got a buy list box sitting on deck here. I've been shoveling cards in there and trying to figure out what I'm going to get rid of and what I'm going to be able to get once I turn it all in. This card sitting in the buy list box, and dinosaurs are going to see some support here with the, like here, before I go any further, I got to mention this. Does anybody realize that we've already got spoilers out from Lord of the Rings as well as March of the Machines, and there aren't any cards available? This is going into a whole nother realm. Like we've got two spoilers that already came to market, and one of them included dinosaurs, which is like a reason why these dinosaurs that we're seeing are going to start moving. But none of the cards are out yet in paper, and they're going to come out in paper first before digital. So a bit of a this is a bit of an exciting time, if you ask me, because now products from New Capenna and from last year are sitting on sale. Sealed products are going on sale that didn't sell last year. Now we're starting to find them on sale, and now this bottleneck and backlog of new products, like they can't seem to even get them out fast enough for their own liking. They spoiled two sets, Lord of the Rings and March of the Machines, and you can't. They're not even out yet. It's pre-order, so the whole if the whole strategy of like letting these folks at Hasbro choke on this product seems to be working, because we're going to pick up these cards 6 to 8 months from now in sealed product at the correct market price once this stuff doesn't sell. I can't see how they can keep this up. Are we going to get a third set spoiled with more dinosaurs moving the second market before we even like get the Lord of the Rings? Because this is what I'm talking about. Yeah, if you look here, you've got March of the Machine as well as Lord of the Rings. But this dinosaur from Gishath, Sun's avatar, this is a legendary creature dinosaur avatar. If you're going to be playing a dinosaur commander, it's either going to be this one, and I know this is Pioneer, but this is where this card is played primarily. If you're going to be playing Dinosaur Tribal in Pioneer or in Commander, it's going to be Zakama, the Primal Calamity, or Gishath, Sun's avatar. This one is Naya. It says Vigilance, Trample, Haste for a 7/6, so you get to attack with it the turn it comes into play. If it doesn't tap to attack, it can block. And this is what I mean: for 8 mana, you get something to happen. When it deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of your library. Put any number of dinosaur cards from the revealed cards onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom in a random order. It's mythic. Brody wants to put some lines on charts here. Let's get my really epic pen. Darn, that's some good coffee. So seeing an east to west price trend here for the Gishath Sun's avatar, not really seeing a whole lot of price action. Right here is the March of the Machine spoilers. I'm looking for something. This is an odd pattern. Is this a cup and handle? No. Is this like a flag? This is a very odd looking pattern. We're gonna have to give it some time and see how many more dinosaurs we get spoiled to see if we're gonna get some more support for this card. Decks using it, yeah. Gishath, Sun's Avatar, the namesake card of the deck in Commander, as well as Atla, Palani Nest Tender, Zakama the Primal Calamity, Morophon the Boundless is running it. Is this like a Morophon Dino deck, perhaps? Could be. Or is it shapeshifting? Is it shapeshifter? Morophon the Boundless, Hedron Crab, Iceberg Cantrix, Ruminous Crab, Purple Crab. This is Crab Tribal. This card's got the crabs. I'm assuming you got a finance background. Oh, Tommy Siddons. Good question. See, I do read each and every one of your comments. And Tommy Siddons, you left me the same comment last week, and I only read it in the replay. So I'm glad I'm glad you bring it up again. Tommy says, I'm assuming you got a finance background. The answer is sort of. As somebody who runs a business, I have to know a little bit about managing money. I have to know a little bit. Like, as somebody who runs a business, you have to know enough to survive. I'm self-taught for a lot of things. But yeah, I've got my finance background is in so much as I've been running a business for a number of years and it hasn't gone under yet. Okay. So that is my finance background. If you want any, I've tried a lot of things. I don't have like a degree in any kind of a business school. Nope. Self-taught, survivor. Survivor. My survival is my background. Okay. I have a little money. I'd like a little more. I too would like, well, here's the other thing. Like, I'll give you this point and a point of, I'll give you something. Here's a piece of advice, Tommy Siddons, and I'll give you my, this is something that I came up with and you won't find it anywhere else. And anybody who says it is copying me. You've heard of the saying. I want you to think about this. A penny saved is a penny earned. Okay? That's not true. A penny saved is not the same as a penny earned. No, it's not. And I want you to think about this for everybody watching at home. The reason a penny is saved is not the same as a penny earned is because a penny earned, you have to pay income tax on it. So a penny saved is worth 30% more than a penny earned. Okay. Because in order to get that penny and save it, you have already had to have paid income tax on it to save it. So a penny saved is worth 30% more than a penny earned. Okay. Keep that in mind. So some people say, I want to make more money. Well, if you want to make more money, there's a couple of ways to do that. Some things are more important than earning more money or making more money. Saving money is more powerful than making more money because the more you make, the more tax you have to pay, right? If you can preserve the wealth in your collection, and that's where I want to see your collection grow, and sort of have some long-term fun value. That's just my opinion. Consider the penny saved versus the penny earned parably. It's a new take on MTG Gaming Box says want a lot more money. Let's be honest. I think a better question would be what would I do with it? And I really don't. And I do I really deserve it? All right. Well, there's a man out there, and he says, if you consider the fact that people can do more good things in the world with a full cup, it's in your best interest to see other people do well. And rich people don't get more money by solving their own problems. They get money by solving other people's problems. So this is something I want you folks to like take with you when you go out there in the day in the world of Magic the Gathering and you're looking to make a difference, because no matter what you do, even if you think it's insignificant, if you're solving other people's problems, say you're changing somebody else's tire, say you're doing something for somebody that they cannot do themselves, that is the most important thing you can do, because the service to others is the most important way to solve other people's problems. And then once you get really good at solving other people's problems, you'll have so much money that your problems will take care of themselves. So I like to encourage people when I go out in the world, I try to solve as many people's problems that come my way. That's what I do in a day. People come to me with problems and I do my best to help them. And I can't help them every time, but if you found if you found a place in the world where you are able to solve other people's problems, learn how to do that, learn as much about it, and get good at it, and the rest will come from there. Here's a problem: the Great Henge. You can't cast this unless you have 9 mana, or you have. Yeah, money is Jungle Rumble. I hate money. Money is a fantasy. Money is a fallacy. Money only has value if it gets you something else, right? In this day and age when we're talking about money, like money is changing, right? The definition of money. So like right now, like what is a great henge worth? It's $61 for this great henge, right? Totally understand it, Rumbler. I totally get it. And it's like the more you try and get it, the harder it is to get. And then like the money that you hold on, like how does it money used to be like a store of value or a store of wealth, right? So there's other ways to preserve your hard-earned money. Like I like magic cards because at least I get some play value out of them. Some of them can be quite expensive. Some of the older ones, seem to stay pretty stable. Some of the newer ones go up and are really expensive. Like, I don't understand the whole concept of Ragavan, just kind of blows my mind. It's like reprinting $1,000 bill off of the assembly line every single time. Don't I try not to get fooled by that. The Ragavan concept is like the money printer just going crazy. $1,000 bill, one after the other, right? So be really careful because once, and this is where we tie it all together. So let's take a look at the price of Hasbro stock real quick for a second, right? So we've been talking about Silicon Valley Bank, right? Silicon Valley Bank failed. And then we've got this Hasbro stock that we've been watching since November of last year, right? Silicon Valley Bank has failed. There's been another bank that's failed, and then there's Credit Suisse that's failed, and you've got these international banks sending money all over the world trying to bail out banks before they fail. All right. So now what are these where are these see, the money has to go somewhere. Like MTG Gaming Bob said, it's not like a commodity like gas or oil or grain or wheat that gets eaten up and burnt. Like, it has to go somewhere, right? So when you're talking about like a transfer of wealth between uh when you're talking about a transfer of wealth between communities or between countries, when money moves, right, it has to go somewhere, and usually it goes up to the top, right? It's like, we're going to create some inflation down here, which will create a higher price for goods and services that we own. And then, like, we're going to tax you on it so that you pay a little more tax because the price goes up. And then that transfer of wealth goes all the way to the top, right? So now you've got a company like Hasbro that's aligned with the values, the same banking values and ESG scores is what some of these banks are using to evaluate their decisions and make their decisions. They say, well, we're just like you. We've got a bunch of executives on the board who think just like you guys do over at Silicon Valley Bank or Berkshire Hathaway or any of these big, investment firms that may have been sitting at the fourth quarter earnings report in the background, listening and taking notes. And they're trying to give Hasbro right now is trying to give all these investment banks a reason to send the money to us. Why do they want them to send the money to them? To buy these Hasbro shares. Like, we're watching, this sucker is going to keep going down because they have convinced that that they have a direct line to you and I, the consumers, to get our money by printing new products and set releases after set releases after set releases. They're like, don't worry, give us the money. We have a strategy for the next year. We have a whole plethora of products coming out, and we can get people to give us their money. They will go to work, they will turn the economy, they will work the sweats off their back, and they will hand it over to us. It's called a falling knife, right? So to catch the falling knife, you could like stand under it and you could try to like hold on to it, right? Or you could wait till it hits the ground and bounces around, finishes clangling and dangling around, and then just go and pick it up. All right. I'll give you one more example of that, catching the falling knife. Here's a sale. Okay, here's the actual price of sealed product. And if you have sealed product, yeah, if you haven't seen this already, this is Canadian. Okay, this is like New Capenna from last year. Sealed $79.99. Like, has anybody seen a booster box for sale for $79.99? This is what we used to pay. And Crimson Vow, I think the Crimson Valley is too high. I would be sitting and waiting for Crimson Vow to get it on for $50 a box because the EV inside of the box isn't even there. I don't know how New Capenna is cheaper than Crimson Vow, but this is the real price of a booster box, right? So right now, with where we're at, and all the new stock and all the new prices and all the new cards, Hasbro's like collector boxes, Commander Masters, more collector's edition, Lord of the Rings, the One Rings, anything they can do to like get your money into their company so that the shareholders who are seeing this price going down to $42, it's a game. It's like a mental game. And all the people that are out there bandwagoning and championing new Magic right now, out at tournaments and banging the drum of $1,000 Ragavans and the next One Ring and the next reprint and everything that's going out, it's totally a mind game to try and catch people off guard, to funnel more money into Hasbro, where these investment bankers are probably waiting in the wins. Like the money's got to go somewhere. Follow the money, folks. Jungle Rumble hates the new Capenna. All right, back on target. Back on target. Let's go back to the Great Henge, okay? Here's a great card from Throne of Eldraine. Do you hate it? I mean, I like it at 79 bucks a box. The Triomes are good. Ledger Shredder's 20 bucks. I mean, I picked up a case, 8 boxes for 600 bucks. I'm sorry, but at that price, that's what like the fun value. That's draft boxes. So draft boxes. You can't say it enough. Like if you want to have some fun with 80 of your friends, sit down and play Magic for 3 or 4 hours, 80 bucks Canadian, that's like 50 bucks US. Okay, like you're not going to get better fun for the money. I like draft. I'm a draft player. I'll take those draft boxes at 69 or 79 bucks a box all day long. And I'll wait for the new product to hit the shelf and not sell, and I'll pick it up on discount. Same as reserve list cards. Don't be fooled. Let's take a look at this Great Henge, okay? The Great Henge is a legendary artifact that costs X. Let's look at the foil version on this, all right? How much is the extended foil? This card's going to get hit with a reprint sooner than later. I'm afraid it's true. So we got only one printing in the Throne of Eldraine, and then there's the pre-release promos. So, like, when are we going to see another reprint on the Great Henge? I was lucky in my Eldraine collector boxes. I opened the good one. The flavor's awful to me, and they didn't even name the triomes right. Fair enough. Fair enough, Jungle Rumbler. Let me tell you, your opinion is good here. If you are allowed to, you're allowed to hate on a set. That's fine. I'm not even going to try and change your mind. There's lots of reasons to hate New Capenna. I like the cartoony art. I like the fact that there's some triomes in there, and I like the fact that I can draft it with some of my friends. Market saturation. I got a regular French. It's in Lord. I got a regular foil henge. It is in Lord of the Rings. Henge is a box topper. Ah, yes. So we will get a box. See, the funny thing is it's not even out yet, right? It's not even out yet. Here's another piece of land. Nykthos. This is a card. This is a good card. Nykthos, Shrine of Nyx. This is a card I never got. I would love to have this card, but I will wait to catch it on a reprint because if I do want to play Devotion. Okay, so this is a land from Theros. Taps for colorless, 2 and a tap. Choose a color, add an amount of mana equal to that color to your devotion of that color. The devotion is the number of mana symbols in the mana cost of permanents you control. This is a great card, especially in EDH. Only Theros, and again on the list copy is 59 bucks. I'd like to try and open this. Theros foil is 72, and the regular one from Theros is 42. Let's look at the chart on this. It's been pretty stable, hey? Has it? A couple of bump ups in price. Let's draw some lines on charts. That's what Brody's here for. Brody just wants to put some lines on some charts. And it seems to be going up. This sucker, yeah, $42. It's at an all-time high right now. I'd like to do like more like Michael Superbacker and find himself a deal on a card like Sandals of Abdallah that slipped through the cracks on eBay. Like when people are looking over here, they're like, hey, look at the new sets and look at the deals and look at what people are advertising. There's always something over here on eBay, a little known eBay store or singles where they're having timed auctions where you can pick up like some reserve list Arabian Nights cards that nobody's bidding on because everybody's watching the falling knife, right? It's like it's a distraction. So you got to do a little bit more like Michael Superbacker and like wait for everybody to look over here as you're like scrolling through the eBay listings and finding the deals that nobody's watching on and picking them up for like what they should be, right? Don't be fooled, right? That's how you get the fun into your collection. For sure. And then like a year from now later when people finally catch on and somebody wants that Sandals of Abdallah, you're sitting on it. Possession, 9/10 of the law. You want to be holding on to those cards in your. Don't let people talk you out of them, okay? Into some new stuff and miss out on deals that you could be getting. This card's good. Nykthos Ramp is playing it. It's played in Commander. Selesnya Angels is playing it. Crick, Son of Yawgmoth. Pioneer, Nykthos Ramp. Let's check it out. And Selesnya Angels, right? So like this is a card that I'm selling, is the Selesnya Angel card. I'm selling this card. Can't get rid of it fast enough. It's sitting in my box. This is the Resplendent Angel. I got one of these. It's expensive. This is another card I'm selling. I've got a Gish-Ass Sun's Avatar in my box. I've got a Resplendent Angel in there, and I've got a few cards that only saw one printing of, and they're expensive, and they're too hot for me to hold on to. Anything that's only seen one printing. Richie Dubs, gotta go. Jungle Rumbler, have a good day. Take the path less traveled. Sometimes it works out. All right, the Chainville. No matter what you folks do here, and I got to get rolling too. Let's take a look at what else we got. The Chainville, Fiery Mashed Potatoes. Now, here's a card that's going to be going up. Okay, so in the new set, there's a card that I think it triples the amount of damage that gets out there. So there was somebody who combined this with Tolbrand. Take care, Richie Dubs. So somebody was making a deck list on Twitter with the Fire Emancipation, Tolbrand, and the new card that triples damage, and Lightning Bolt for 54 damage. Because it triples it each time, right? You're going to see some insane, like, Magic, the power creep in Magic has gone bananas. So now you can get 54 damage out of a Lightning Bolt with this Tolbrand and the new card that triples damage again. I like it. I think it's insane. It's insanely powerful. It's what a time to be alive, right? When Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, or Revised come out, if somebody would have told me that, there's going to be a way to get 54 damage out of a Lightning Bolt, I'd have told them they were crazy. But now you can pay $6 for this card from Core 2021. It's a $30 red card. Seems okay. Solfim, the Mayhem Dominus. Tolbram, the Red Fell. Toralf, God of Fury. Is that the one? Toralf? Where's Toralf? Oh yeah, whenever a creature and opponent's goal is dealt excess non-combat damage, Toralf deals damage equal to the excess to any target other than that permanent. Yeah, seems like a decent card, right? Sauron, the Imperial Bloodlord, Blooming Marsh, Devote Invocation, tap any number of untapped creatures you control. Put a 4/4 white angel creature token on with flying onto the battlefield this way for each creature tapped. Collected Company and Breeding Pool. Bunch of MacGuffins. All right. Well, I've got to. Johan Matuzzi says, "Got to get to work. Take care, all of you." Yes, whatever you do, do the best job of it as you can in the morning. Each and every day. The cops are at the door. Brody's got to make a go for it here. I do got to run, folks. With all that information that we were discussing, like, do you like tracking the prices of Magic cards? Is there enough information out there, or is there too much darned information? Let me do it for you. I'm doing it each and every day here on the morning show with my friends. Oh, I got the Dual Brain shirt on today. I would check out Mr. Ed over the Dual Brain channel for sure. Those of you for tuning in, I want to thank you all for another amazing show. We'll be doing it again Monday through Friday on the morning show. Little Magic Stocks and Magic Talks. We'll talk to you all again real soon. Let's hit the comments. Who likes the Fairy Mastermind? 88% of you folks say I like the Shredder better. And Gaming Boss is the reason I'm a YouTube content creator, is why I started the effort to make Commander Raids is truly for other people. I try my best to offer analysis for a fun and other format for people to play for free. And that is a fact. I like this one. Money doesn't change people, it makes you more of what you already are. Well, I like to do this show where you folks can join in each and every day for absolutely nothing. I appreciate you and all the support. Good comments from everybody, good conversation. Let's get a conversation going. Thanks again. We'll talk to you all real soon.